Hey everybody, welcome back. We are still going strong with our Angels month. Today we are doing our white-green Angels, and it is our Benevolent Angels. Again, not too many white-green Angels, or green Angels just in general, so I had to do some filling in, but I think we got a good one going here. Sigarda, Font of Blessings, 2, a green and a white. Flying, other permanents you control have hexproof. You may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may cast angel and human spells from the top of your library, and she's a 4/4. I am already tired. Well, no, I had a long night. It's not important. Don't worry about it. Okay, here we go. Planes. Sarah Ascendant, 1 white. It has lifelink. And as long as you have 30 or more life, Sarah Ascendant gets +5/+5 and has flying. It's a 1/1. Great turn 1 start for Commander. People absolutely hate that card. Essence Warden, a green. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain a life. It's a 1/1. Sword of the Animist, 2 mana. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. It's a 2 mana. Green already has pretty good ramps, so you don't necessarily need the Sword of Animist if you want to swap something out, but it's still a good one to get because it makes up for white's inability to do that. Plains. Keeper of the Cord, 3 mana and a white. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more creatures than you, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more lands than you, you may search your library for plains. Put it onto battlefield tapped, then shuffle. It's a 3/4. Another plains. Alhamaret's Archive, 5 mana. If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life instead. If you would draw a card except the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, you draw 2 cards instead. Pariah, 2 and a white. Enchant creature. All damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to enchanted creature instead. There are some fun combos that can be done with that one. The Great Henge, 7 and 2 green. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. You can tap it to add 2 green, and then you gain 2 life. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card. Heroic Intervention, 1 and a green. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Plains. Angel of the Ruins, a fantastic card, 5 mana and 2 white. Flying. When Angel of the Ruins enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target artifacts and/or enchantments. You can also do Plains Cycling for 2 mana, meaning you pay 2 mana, discard it, search your library for plains, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. It's a 5/7. We got a Johnny here, 2 and 2 white. Johnny, Strength of the Pride. +1 ability is you gain life equal to the number of creatures you control plus the number of planeswalkers you control. The -2 is to create a 2/2 white cat soldier creature token named a Johnny's Pridemate with, whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on a Johnny's Pridemate. And the 0, if you have at least 15 more life than your starting life total, exile a Johnny, Strength of the Pride, and each artifact and creature your opponents control. Plains. Selesnya Sanctuary. It enters tapped, and when it comes into play, you return a land you control to your hand, tap it to add a green and a white. Forest. Segovian Angel, 1 white, flying and vigilance. It's 1/1. Great small little card there. Brawn, 3 mana and a green. Trample. As long as Brawn is in your graveyard and you control a forest, creatures you control have trample. It's a 3/3. Crush Contraband, 3 and a white. You can choose one or both. Exile target artifact, exile target enchantment. Riot Control, 2 and a white. You gain 1 life for each creature your opponents control, and then prevent all damage that would be dealt to you this turn. Mother of Runes, 1 white. Tap to have target creature you control gain protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. She's a 1/1. Plains. Brave the Sands, 1 white. Creatures you control have vigilance. Each creature you control can block an additional creature each combat. Selfless Squire, 3 white. It has flash, meaning you can cast it as an instant. When it enters the battlefield, prevent all damage that would be dealt to you this turn. And whenever damage that would be dealt to you is prevented, put that many +1/+1 counters on Selfless Squire. It's a 1/1. Dueling Grounds. 1 green and a white. No more than 1 creature can attack each combat, and no more than 1 creature can block each combat. Forest. Soul Warden, 1 white. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain a life. It's a 1/1. Forest. Smothering Tithe, 3 white. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If the player doesn't, you create a treasure token. I believe this is on the Game Changers list, so be wary of that. Palace Guard, 2 white. Palace Guard can block any number of creatures, 1 and a 4. Forest. Karoo. Now this is not that great of a card because it works a little bit differently than the Selesnya Sanctuary. It comes into play tapped, and when it comes into play, you have to return an untapped plains. The other ones you can like tap the mana, get the mana, and then bounce it to your hand. This one you have to do it that way, and that's a little unfortunate, but it taps to give you a white and a colorless mana, so it's still a ramp, so it slows you down a little bit, but Soul Ring, 1 mana, tap to add 2 colorless mana, and a forest, and a forest. Predator Ooze, 3 green mana, indestructible. Whenever it attacks, put +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever a creature dealt damage by Predator Ooze this turn dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Predator Ooze. That's a good one to add Pariah onto. Virtue of Loyalty, 3 and 2 white for its enchantment, but also has an adventure aspect to it, where you can pay 1 and a white to create a 2/2 white Knight creature token with Vigilance. It hangs out in exile, and then you can cast it later for the 5 mana. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, untap those creatures. Flare of Fortitude, 2 and 2 white. You can sacrifice a non-token white creature rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Until end of turn, your life total can't change, and permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible. So it's a slight combination between Teferi's Protection and Heroic Intervention. Trelasara, Moondancer, a green and a white. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Trelasara and scry 1. She's a 2/2. The Questing Beast, 2 and 2 green. This guy's got a lot of stuff on it. So it's Vigilance, Death Touch, and Haste. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. And whenever a Questing Beast deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target planeswalker that player controls. It's a 4/4. Righteous Valkyrie, 2 and a white. Flying, and whenever another angel or cleric enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. As long as you have at least 7 more life than your starting total, creatures you control get +2/+2. It's a 2/4. Shalai, Voice of Plenty, 3 and a white. Flying, you, planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof. You can also pay 4 and 2 green to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. It's a 3/4. This is also a good choice for the commander, but I liked this one because it lets you look at the top of your deck and cast from the top of your deck. Fog, a green, Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. Reliquary Tower. You have no maximum hand size. Tap for colorless. Mikaeus, the Lunarch, X and a white. It enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So you pay as much mana as you want into the X to get whatever comes off of that. You can then also tap it to put a +1 counter on it, or you can also tap it to remove a counter from it to put a +1 counter on each other creature you control. So that's another good way to buff stuff. Shamanic Revelation, 3 and 2 green. Draw a card for each creature you control. You gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. Lightning Greaves, 2 mana. Equipped creature has haste and shroud. Equip cost 0. Shroud means nobody can target it, including yourself. Cultivate, 2 and a green. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards. Put one onto the battlefield and the other into your hand, then shuffle. So this is a card that you use in combination with like Pariah and the other one. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, so this has a thing. When you have 30 or more life, you flip it. It's a 2/2 creature. So you flip it, and then it becomes prevent all damage that would be dealt to creatures you control. Riftstone Portal. It taps for a colorless mana. And if it is in your graveyard, lands you control have tap for green or white. Binding Angel, 3 and 2 white. It has flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player skips his or her next combat phase. It's a 2/4. Kami of the Whispered Hopes, 2 and a green. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a permanent you control, that many +1/+1/+1 counters are put on that permanent instead. And then you can tap it to add X mana of any one color, where X is its power. It is a 1/1. So you buff it up, you get more mana for it. Divine Visitation, 3 and 2 white. If one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. Pariah's Shield, 5 mana. All damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to the equipped creature instead. 3 equip cost. Plains, Forest, Plains, Forest, Plains. That was not a good run. Mana Tithe, 1 white. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. These ones are very situational, either really early in the game or if you know for sure that they've tapped out to play something big, you can just be like, haha, take that. Because it comes out of nowhere, they don't expect it with white. Forest. Giada, Font of Hope, 1 and a white. Flying Vigilance. Each other angel you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each angel you already control. So if you got 2 angels out there and you cast your 3rd angel, that gets 1/2 additional counters. You can also tap her for a white mana only to cast an angel spell, and she's a 2/2. Forest, Plains, Collective Effort, 1 and 2 white. Escalate. So you can tap an untapped creature you control, and you can pay this for each mode chosen beyond the first. So you can choose 1 or more, and there's 3 choices. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Destroy target enchantment, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. Then we got one of my Elspeth and Sarah and then Rowan are 3 of my favorite planeswalkers, but she's one of my favorite. Sarah the Benevolent, 2 and 2 white. You can +2 her. Creatures you control with flying get +1/+1 until end of turn. -3 her to create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. Or you can -6 her to get an emblem. If you control a creature, damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead. And she's a 4 loyalty. We've got our other Sigarda, Host of Herons, 2 a green and 2 white. She has flying and hexproof, and spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause you to sacrifice permanents. She's a 5/5. That's a great one because that gets around a lot of hexproof and stuff from that. So, because it targets you as a player, so you have to sacrifice rather than, oh, I'm targeting your creature, goodbye. So it's a good way to help protect that because there's a lot of crap out there. Archangel of Thune, 3 and 2 white, flying lifelink. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. It's a 3/4. Descend upon the Sinful, 4 and 2 white. Exile all creatures. Delirium. I think Delirium means you need to have... it says it right there. So create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. So card type will be sorcery, instant, creature, enchantment, artifact, planeswalker, land, etc. So as long as you get 4 different ones, you get to create an angel. Planes. Illumination, 2 white. Counter target artifact or enchantment spell. That spell's caster gains an amount of life equal to the spell's casting cost. Valor, 3 and a white. It has first strike, and as long as Valor is in your graveyard and you control a planes, creatures you control have first strike. 2 mana. 2/2. Court of Grace, 2 and 2 white. When it enters, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. If you are the monarch, create a 4/4 white angel creature token instead. Batter Skull, 5 mana. It is a living weapon, meaning when it enters the battlefield, you create a 0/0 black Phyrexian Germ creature token, and then attach this to that token. The equipped creature gets +4/+4 and has Vigilance and Lifelink. You can pay 3 mana to return Batter Skull to its owner's hand, to your hand, and then it has equip cost of 5. Linvala, Keeper of Silence, 2 mana and 2 white. Flying. Activated abilities of creatures your opponents control cannot be activated. She's a 3/4. Ocelot Pride, 1 white. First strike, lifelink, and it has Ascend, meaning if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing for the rest of the game. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. Then if you have the City's Blessing, for each token you control that entered the battlefield this turn, create a token that's a copy of it, 1/1. So tag this in with Court of Grace and with Divine Visitation, and you get to create yourself a bunch of angels. Sword of Truth and Justice, 3 mana. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from white and blue. The equipped creature deals combat damage to a player. Put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control and then proliferate. Proliferate means increasing any sort of counters that you want, whether yours or an opponent's. Whether it's a +1 counter or a loyalty counter. Seal of the Guild Pact, 5 mana. As it enters the battlefield, choose 2 colors. You choose white and green. Each spell you cast costs 1 less to cast for each of the chosen colors in it. So for a lot of the dual colored things that we have in here, like our Sigardas and whatnot, you get a cost reduction of 2. So she's a 4 mana, she's now a 2 mana. It's awesome. Ajani, the Great-Hearted, 2 a green and a white. Creatures you control have Vigilance. His +1, you gain 3 life. And his -2 is to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control and a loyalty counter on each other planeswalker you control. He's got a 5 loyalty. Teferi's Protection, 2 and a white. Until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you gain protection from everything. All permanents you control phase out. Exile Teferi's Protection. Authority of the Consuls, 1 white. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain a life. This works great with our other wardens there, gaining a lot of life. Kutzil, Malamet Exemplar, 1 a green and a white. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It's a 3/3. Elspeth, Tyrell, 3 and 2 white. +2, you gain 1 life for each creature you control. -2, put 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. And -5, destroy all other permanents except for lands and tokens. So 4 loyalty. Angelic Accord, 3 and a white. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained 4 or more life this turn, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Seedborn Muse, 3 and 2 white. Untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. 2 and a 4. Forest. Crochet Grip, this is a great one. 2 and a green. Split second, meaning as long as this spell is on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. So if they're like, I'm going to cast this spell and then I'm going to counter this spell, and you can be like, hold on a second, I'm going to cast this. Stops the stack and everything. Nothing else can be done after it. Then it resolves. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Crack Open, 2 and a green. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Create a treasure token. Plains. Forest. Burgeoning, 1 green. Whenever an opponent plays a land, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Great way to ramp. Lyra Dawnbringer. This Lyra Dawnbringer was my first angel that I got in the Dominaria set like 7 years ago. And she is what got me into angels, because she was just awesome. She's 3 mana and 2 white. She has flying, first strike, and lifelink. And other angels you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. And she's a 5/5. It's awesome. It's fantastic. She's great. We love her. Breath of Life, 3 and a white. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Sprouting Vines, pay 2 and a green. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal that card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And it had a storm, meaning when you cast a spell, you copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. So if someone casts 3 spells, you can cast this, and you'd get 3 triggers plus the original trigger on there. So you get 4 lands. Like, it's a great way to ramp. Ajani's Welcome, 1 white. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, gain a life. Auriok Champion, 2 white. Protection from black and red, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may gain a life. It's a 1/1. Ghostly Prison, 2 and a white. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature he or she controls that's attacking you. And Doubling Season, 4 and a green. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many tokens instead. If an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent you control, it puts twice that many of those counters on that permanent instead. So for example, if you're just doing the collective effort, put a +1/+1 on each creature, so they would get 2 +1s. Or for a planeswalker, normally they would get the 4, but because it counts as a loyalty counter, they now have 8. It's awesome. And that's it for our Benevolent Green-White Angels. It was tough because, again, there's not a lot of green angels, and there's not a lot of green-white angels. And most of the green-white angels are Sigarda. You got Shalai, and I think there might have been 1, maybe 2 others, but I don't think they fit, so I didn't include them. And then we got, a couple just regular white angels, and then we had to make up with some, other stuff to create more angels. It was kind of tough because most of the angels are white, and to mitigate that, you gotta fill in the blanks somewhere. But hopefully, it works for you. It works for me. I enjoy playing this one. It's a good one. And yeah, well, thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy it. Feel free to adjust it as you see fit. But this is a good base for, again, casual play with angels, which are usually pretty strong. People have a hard time with angels. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and peace.